Hello and welcome to the Talking Locitude podcast. My name is Ade Balogun. Today I'm joined by Shaneta White and she'll be telling us a little bit about herself. If this is your first time tuning into the Locitude podcast, this is the Chair Convos series where I have a conversation with my clients who have become my friends, and we basically just have a conversation like we were in the salon and they're getting their hair done. The conversations are usually always fun. I meet a lot of fantastic people. And Shaneta has thankfully said yes to this ask. So I'm very happy that she's here today and I'm looking forward to the conversations that we have.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I'm originally from Jamaica and I moved here when I was 15 years old. So I really have been living in the U.S. for a good 2 decades now.
Okay.
You know, I have a husband and a lot of family members who also live not too far from where I live in the U.S. So.
You see, so as somebody who also migrated, I'm always confused when people say I'm originally from, because I feel like I can never stop being from Nigeria. So do you feel like you are American now as well?
No, I'm Jamaican. Jamaican, African, and American.
Okay. All right. Okay. And then you have mentioned to me in the past that you grew up in the countryside in Jamaica. What was that like? How many people were in your town or in your city? Or can we call it a city?
It's more like a community or district, or you could even call it a village technically, because it was super remote and very small. I would say maybe less than 100 people were in my community.
So it's the kind of place where you know half the people in the village?
I would say all. I really would say all.
So if I walked into the village tomorrow, everybody's going to know there's somebody new in town.
Yes.
Somebody new in the community. Would you come to see?
They'll know.
Oh my God. That's, I can't even fathom that, because I grew up in a city that currently has over 20 million people in it.
Oh no.
So you hustle, bustle, fight for space. And in many ways, Lagos is a small city in terms of its size. So there's so many people. But within your circles, you can go somewhere and you get to see people you know. But knowing everybody around you, that's something.
Oh yeah, like everybody knows you. Everybody knows each other's
Everybody
business.
knows your mother, your
Yes.
father, your grandmother.
Uncle, everybody.
That time that your grandfather was punished somewhere,
Yes.
everybody witnessed it. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
People are really nice though, but everybody knew each other. Yeah.
And it's still small till date.
It's still very small, like radius-wise and people number count-wise.
What's the name of your village?
So it's called Flint River, and it's in the parish of St. Mary. So Jamaica has 14 parishes, and St. Mary is sort of on the east coast of Jamaica, and the Flint River is like a very small community or
Is it
district.
also on the coast?
No, it has a lot of rivers, but it's not quite on the coast where you can see the ocean. You would have to drive maybe like 30 minutes out, or
that's
let's
close
say
enough.
45.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Close enough. By American standards, everywhere is 40 minutes away from everywhere. So I would say, yeah, you're on the coast. So what was the contrast like for you as a 15-year-old who grew up in Flint River that had to move to the U.S.? And did you move with family or were you by yourself at the time when you moved?
No, so my dad lived there way before, my brother and I moved. So Flint River in the U.S., or I should say Alexandria, which is where I first moved to, in Virginia, it's 2 completely different places. In Jamaica, at least for the first 13 years of my life, where I grew up in the country, there was no electricity, no water, and you'd use a kerosene lamp to get lights. And if you need water, you'd go to a community pipe, or we didn't really drink river water, but if you need drinking water, there's a pipe in the community where you could get it for free. So you kind of move from there to here where you pretty much have everything at your fingertips.
I can't even imagine. I can imagine, and at the same time, I cannot imagine, because in contrast to growing up in the city, it's because my mom is from the Delta in Nigeria. And although I think in my lifetime they've always had electricity, but I can imagine her village is not as developed as Lagos, so I can see the contrast, and I can imagine, but at the same time I can't really imagine that you grew up completely without electricity and then you moved to the US with everything, running water.
Yeah.
everything. What about
Yeah.
transport? What was transport like in Flint River?
So it's tricky, right? So the first 13 years of my life in Flint River, I didn't have electricity. But when I would visit my mom, so I grew up with my grandparents in Flint River. So when I would visit my mom, she had electricity in the city. But that
Okay.
would just be like for short periods during the summertime. And then from age 13 to 15, I was living in a house where they had electricity and water. So I had a little bit of it back home, but I definitely, the majority of my life in Jamaica, it was using kerosene lamp and those type of things to like study for school. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about. I'm actually excited. You should have an autobiography at some point so that people can experience both sides, what it was like through your eyes.
Yeah.
The terrain of where you grew up, was it like rainforest or more shrubs and deserts? Did you ever have to do any agricultural farming or any of those things?
A really good question. So where I grew up was really in the forest. It was sort of a forest like environment, but it was where like a lot of people live. Like there were a lot of like houses in the community, that I lived in, and I had a lot of neighbors, but you'd really have to walk maybe like a mile from a main road, which was still a pretty remote road to get to where I lived. So for a mile you wouldn't be able to drive, at least not during the time when I was growing up. So
Right.
yeah, it was a lot of walking and a lot of like exercising.
Okay. So did you learn how to grow crops yourself? What were your chores like?
I don't think I want to oversell what I did. I was able to plant a few items. Like I was able to plant like a plantain
Okay.
tree, I think a watermelon. But I do wish I did more with agriculture because my family had a lot of land in the area. It's very remote land, but it's land where you could get cocoa, mangoes, and a lot of like fruits and
It's not too
vegetables.
late.
True.
It's not too late. It's
Yeah.
not too late, but it sounds very exciting. So 15-year-old Shaneta moves from Flint River to Alexandria, US, and you get enrolled in school. How did you feel? Was it really a shocking difference to you? How was it like integrating to this new world, making friends, considering, where you were coming from?
It was different. So in Jamaica, even though I grew up, in a rural area, pretty poor, but not really poor because you kind of live off the land. There's just so much food and excess just because you're in the countryside where a lot of things grow. Moving from there to here was a little bit different, in that I was very happy in Jamaica. Oh, you okay?
Excuse me.
Yeah, I was very happy in Jamaica, and my grandparents were super nice. I grew up with a lot of cousins. I was surrounded by a lot of love. But when I moved here, it was a little different because my dad, he wasn't really the nicest person.
So was
So,
he working a lot as well?
yes, he was a truck driver.
So it wasn't
Yeah.
even really around that much.
Not really. I would say he would go to work maybe like 5 days per week. It would seem like the next 2 days, but it wasn't even about that. It was just like, he wasn't nice.
No strict.
Yeah, it's pretty hard because I didn't know him until I was about 13. And then I moved here when I was 15. So, you don't really know what to expect, but it's tricky when a parent is absent completely and then they're also mean on top of it. So it was pretty tough. But yeah.
I was just going to say I moved to America just about 3 years ago, actually. 3 years, kind of at the middle of this month. In a few weeks, it will be 3 years on the dot since I moved to America. And my first year in America, I kept saying, I want to go home. I want to go home. What am I doing here? And this is me at about 35. So at 15, did you want to go home?
I don't remember wanting to go home. I just remember being in distress a lot, like mentally, if that makes sense. Just not being happy, but also being happy through like my friends and schools and other positive interactions, but just through interactions with the few family members who were here. I remember like experiencing a lot of like mental distress. That, was temporary because I wasn't always around them. Like I said, my dad was a truck driver, so I would only see him like 2 days out of each week or so. Yeah.
Right. Well, I can imagine that was difficult. I don't want to say I'm sorry you went through that because I feel like our lives are our lives and, it's our crosses to bear. So I'm sure it's made you stronger for something else.
Definitely, yeah.
So let's talk about your hair and you being Jamaican.
Okay.
So I think for everybody listening to this podcast, it might be like, yeah, she's Jamaican. Of course she has locks. And before we start talking about this, you're like, not that many people actually have locks.
Yeah.
So in Flint River, if you're going to count the people who had locks, since you kind of know everybody, would you say it's like 80% of the village?
Ooh, no. I would say more like 1% or 2%. It was very, very few people
Are
in
you
the
guys really
community.
Jamaican?
No, it was actually just a few people in Jamaica who had dreadlocks, especially when I was growing up. I would imagine now there's more people because like more black people are getting dreadlocks or some type of locks. But in Jamaica, there wasn't many people. Like,
Right.
Bob Marley, obviously, one of the biggest ambassadors of Jamaica,
The biggest.
had locks. Yeah, you could even call him the biggest, honestly.
Okay, so would people usually wear perm or wear their natural hair? And when you decided to lock your hair, do you used to go back home to Flint River?
Yes, I went back in August, September time in 2023.
And then
Yeah.
seeing your family and them seeing you with your locks, was it like, why are you doing this? Or do they embrace it or it doesn't even really matter?
For me, it doesn't matter whether they embrace it or not because it's my hair and that's how I like it. But people don't really make a big deal of it. I think back in the days, like maybe when I was going to school back in like the 90s or early 2000s, maybe people would have questions. But now there's a lot of people getting locks. It's like mainstream now. Definitely not 80% or 10% of the population, but there's enough people who have locks where, it's kind
It
of
has become
normal.
a normal
Yeah.
choice, a normal way for you to wear your hair.
Yeah.
So your locks are relatively tiny. They can actually be considered micro locks. They're not as tiny as sister locks, but they're quite
Yeah.
tiny. Why did you choose to go this way?
Because I didn't want it. So I have 250 locks. Or
That's a lot.
an estimate of 250. So I didn't want it to be
100 more
too
than
big.
mine.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I like the small locks, but I didn't want it to be like 400. It would just be way too small, and I feel like it would get, knotted. So I opted for 250 or this size so that it would just look small but not be too small.
Okay.
So, yeah, I just like the size of it.
And then interestingly, you intentionally also opted for the palm rolling method.
Yes.
Because when I did meet you, I know you booked a palm rolling appointment, but you knew your locks were tiny, so you
Yeah.
had kind of given me some leeway. But your locks are beautiful, by the way.
Oh,
They're
thank you.
Very beautiful. And if I were to go as tiny as you have them now, I probably would do the same thing.
Oh,
But
nice.
why palm rolling? Because nobody actually palm rolls micro locks.
Yeah, palm rolling because I really like when you first do like a retie, is that what they call it?
A
Where-
retwist.
Or retwist, yeah, that's the word. It just looks really neat and pretty, and it just makes me look like I'm rocking locks.
It's definitely much
Yeah.
neater than the interlocking method of
Yeah.
getting your hair done. Okay, interesting. Now let's talk about work for a little bit. So you kind of got integrated into the system, completed high school, and you got a bachelor's
Yes,
and a master's
correct.
and a PhD.
No. I think I'm stopping at masters. I'm good.
Okay. And did you feel like being Jamaican, and I'm saying this from an African point of view, where African parents always like, you need to do your masters, you need to set yourself apart. Do you feel like you had that pressure to continue academically up to your master's level?
It's kind of crazy, right? So I feel like my entire life growing up, I really didn't have pressure. I grew up with my grandparents, so
Okay.
they're not going to pressure you to do anything. But I always did well in school, But when I moved here, my dad was a truck driver. I was never the student who had to go home and show my parents a report card or answer to them. But even then, I still did well because I had pretty good, academic discipline from Jamaica. But there was really never any pressure other than just me wanting to do well.
Okay.
I mean, my family have, good expectations for me, but there was never any pressure from anybody. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I can't relate when people are like, oh, man, I had to show my parents my report card. And I didn't have that growing up.
That's good on
Yeah.
you, because that speaks to your person, your character, your will, your drive. So that's actually quite admirable. On my side of things, I actually feel my parents didn't pressure me, but I know they would have been very disappointed if I know at some point I didn't want to continue my masters. I said I wanted to do my masters in something else. I had this crazy idea that I wanted to travel to Australia for a year and take a year out. I had watched too many American movies. So I was just like,
Australia is beautiful.
I want a year out. I want to go to the farthest place in the world. Of course, I didn't have any money to do that. And I was already enrolled in a master's program. And my mother was like, you better go get your master's. And eventually I did. And I have no regrets
Good.
for doing that. No regrets at all. So what kind of work have you done? And you know, American kids grow up so fast.
Yeah.
And for you at 15 with a dad who was on the road, I feel like you probably grew up even faster than the average American child.
Not really. My child was like here was pretty boring. It was just we go to school, come home,
Come
do
back.
homework, do it again, hang out with cousins. Yeah, it was pretty boring. Yeah.
But maybe when I say grow up fast, like you started to fend for yourself. I'm sure at that time
A little bit,
you
yeah.
were responsible for your meals. Those
Yeah.
5 days a week, you're
Yeah,
responsible
but I
that
didn't
you
cook
ate.
though, so maybe he cooked before he left, but I don't remember cooking.
You don't remember cooking, okay? Or maybe you ate out.
No, definitely not eating out because you know you're in high school and I didn't have a job at the time. But I remember eating.
You said you had a job at the time.
I didn't have a job at
Okay,
the
you
time.
didn't have a job
Yeah.
at the time.
So maybe he left food before you went on the road. That's my
Okay.
guess.
All right, all right, okay, all right. I like the way it's interesting that we see ourselves in a very interesting way.
Yeah.
So I was talking to somebody recently, and I said I was put into a paramilitary school, which is a school that is not the military,
Yeah.
but is run by the military in Nigeria.
Okay.
So there's a lot of discipline and expectations for you to keep up to time. There's a lot of discipline. There's a lot of flogging and all of that. But I was saying to someone that, that I went to this boarding house, which was a paramilitary school. And I was about 8 going on 9 when I got into the school. And she was like in shock. Like, I was like, no, it was okay. Like, it
Yeah.
was, I think it made me a stronger person. And some of
Okay.
the ethic I have today
Yeah.
is about that. So sometimes I'm just saying that I'm like, I'm trying to say, oh, you grew up so fast. Your dad was away. And you're like, no, it was cool.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe.
It was all right. Yeah, we ate. Yeah, everything was good. So, but I like that. It's good when we have a positive outlook on life
Yeah.
and everything or whatever we've been through. All right. So when was your first job?
So my first job was babysitting during the summertime. It was probably when I was either 15 or 16. And it was in my aunt's neighborhood. She had a neighbor who lived across the street. And the husband, he would go to work. The wife was a stay-at-home mom. So during the summertime, she would hire myself, my cousin, and another neighbor's niece. So all three of us would babysit our 3 kids.
Oh, one for each kid.
Yes, pretty
Nice. What did she do? She was a stay-at-home mom and then she had
Yes.
3 babysitters.
much. During the summertime. And she'd pay all of us. She'd give us cash. It was like $7 an hour at the time. So it's
That's the
pretty
kind of
good
life I
money
want,
back in the
though.
days.
Well, good for you. But by the time I have kids, I want babysitters to just take care of them while I go make my nails. And
Yeah. It was really fun though. The kids were super sweet. Sometimes would go with her to like parks, like bringing 3 kids to like a theme park or a water park. It's a lot of work. So it was really nice. Like she really appreciated having the help around. And it was just fun. Like we were kids. The babies
were
were,
kids.
so we're just having fun the entire
Aw.
summer.
that was
Yeah.
cute. And you're making good money.
At the
Alright.
time, a teenager making $7 an hour. It was pretty decent.
So after that, what was your next job?
So, let's see. My next job, I was a resident advisor in college.
Okay.
So you're basically responsible for supervising the dorm hallway that you live on. So like, for example, if you live in a dorm that has 10 floors, each floor would have a resident advisor or an RA.
And you get paid for that. Do you apply for the position?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Actually, no, there was a job before that. I was an orientation program assistant.
You like working, don't you?
Yeah, I used to have little jobs like during the summertime during college. So they call it OPA at James Madison University. So I worked as an orientation program assistant the summer after my first year in college. So yeah.
And then you did the RE. You were still in college when that was when you went RE because it was for the
Yeah.
dorms.
So I would work as an OPA from like maybe like the fall of my freshman year because that's when you begin training to get ready for the next summer. And then when I came back in the fall, which was like August or September, that's when I began the RA job, which was during my second year in college.
Okay. And then what did you do in your third year in college?
I was an RA for
RA.
the remaining 3 years.
You were married 3 years. And then when you finished, did you go ahead and do your master's right after, or did you take a break, get into the work life, corporate world?
Yeah, I took
Or
a 6 year break. Yeah,
okay,
before I did my
went back.
master's.
And what were you doing in the 6 years?
So during the summer, so after I was no longer an RA an orientation program assistant during the summer. While in college, I would work at Lowe's, which is a home
Okay.
improvement store. So I did that for 3 summers while I was in college. And then during the year while I was in college, I would work as a, resident advisor. And then after graduation, my first job was in a call center where you
Okay.
just field calls.
All right. What
Yeah.
kind of what kind of call center was it? Was it one that took complaints? Did you ever get frustrated?
Not really. It was a little different. So it was for a pharmaceutical company or a healthcare company, and it was basically a call center for patients who were on multiple sclerosis drugs. So my job at the call center was to talk to patients, talk to insurance companies, and talk to pharmacies to get patients their prescription for multiple sclerosis.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, specifically for MS.
Only MS. Yep.
Well, that's interesting. And then after that, what else?
So I moved from the call center to a company called SureScripts. So they owned the network that routes prescriptions or electronic prescriptions across the US. So I worked for them for like about a
What did
year.
you study?
I studied health sciences.
Okay, because I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, it seems like this is sounding to be a very health. You just kind of went on that path
Yeah.
of the health. Okay, all right. And so in your career has spanned how many years now? Like
It's been 13 years now.
13 years,
Yeah.
and you're still in the health industry.
I'm still in health and I'm in IT, health and IT.
So how did you go from call center, the prescription, finding the prescription drugs, to IT?
So because I worked at the call center, I was able to get my foot in the door at an IT company. So SureScripts, they own the network that routes electronic prescriptions. So the job that I got there was an IT job, but it was also like healthcare and it was very entry level. So I got a chance to learn a lot of IT skills that I was able to use to move to other roles.
So when you say
Yeah.
IT skills or coding, did you
Not
do
quite.
JavaScript
No.
or any of
Not
the
really. It
things?
wasn't that technical. It was more like, hey, I tried to route a prescription and it didn't go through. What happened? And then I would look through, different
Okay.
codes. I can't remember like a lot about it right now, but I would look through like the different error codes that happened when the prescription was routed. And then I would figure out like, oh, you actually didn't include the patient's date of birth. So it's not going to go through. Can you try routing it with the date of birth again? So just simple things like that. It was like analyzing prescriptions to figure out what happened when they
What
were being
went
routed.
wrong? Making
Yeah.
sure people get the right prescriptions that they're supposed to get.
Yeah, and just I did a lot with like switching healthcare providers, like hospital systems, physician offices from one electronic prescription system to another.
Okay.
Correct. I did a lot of that too.
Okay. All right. Yeah. The American healthcare system is, I feel like, the source of potentially a good chunk of America's GDP. So there's a lot of work and a lot of variations of things that can be done there. So I have experienced some parts of it myself. And I feel maybe I should reserve my comments about how I feel about the healthcare system. I'm grateful for it. I'm very grateful for it. It's definitely much better than my home country. At the same time, it can be a scam.
Yeah, it can be so much better. Like it really can.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
But don't worry, we're not fixing America's problems today.
Yeah.
We're just going to gist. And so that was 6 years, the 6 year break that you took between college and then deciding to go get your master's.
Yes.
All right. And then you decided to do your master's in health.
Well, not quite health. So it was a master's of business administration
Okay.
at American University in DC.
Why biz admin?
Because I wanted to have that business knowledge, for potential future entrepreneurship opportunities.
I see
So I was
what
like
you're
thinking ahead, even though I'm not doing it yet.
we don't
Yeah.
discuss a lot of plans about business ideas when you come to get your hair done in the salon. I don't even want to expose a lot of them on this podcast so that nobody steals our fantastic ideas. So you did your master's in business administration. Was it a 1 year program?
No. So I took my time. I told you already that I don't ever have pressure. So I really went in 2016 and I finished in 2019. So I really took my
You took your
sweet
time.
time. I took, yeah.
And that was where you met Brandon.
Yes, I did.
So how did this love story start? We've been talking about work. It's beginning to sound stressful. Let's talk about love.
Sure. So Brendan and I had a few classes together, but I would always tell him that every time I used to see him in class, I would think he was from like Sudan. I don't know why I chose Sudan, but I was like, oh, he looks, I don't know. There's not people from Sudan don't have a look. But when I would see him, I'd be like, oh, I wonder if he's from Sudan.
Has he done his ancestry?
Yeah, he did it.
Is there Sudan in it?
Not really. It's Nigerian.
It's Nigerian. Okay, mostly Nigerian. Like how many percent?
Oh gosh, it was a lot. Maybe like more than 60.
That's interesting. So, interesting story. I actually just got my ancestry result back today.
How was it? I'm curious.
I was saying that if it came back with anything other than Nigerian, we had to sue the company.
Oh.
But it says I'm 86% Nigerian, and the other two are from West Africa. The other two markers in my DNA are apparently from Benin and Togo.
Okay.
So
that's really nice because that's not too far from Nigeria.
we're neighbors. We're the same
Yeah.
people. I actually feel like on the borders we speak the same. We would be speaking the same language if not for colonialism and some of the French influence and all of that over the years. So I'm from a very, very narrow down specific part of the world. So that's
Yeah.
that's us. Did you ever get your ancestry done?
I did, yeah.
And where are you from?
It was majority Nigeria. And then I have family in East Africa. Ghana was also a big percentage.
Okay, so let's give you a Nigerian name.
Oh, well,
Have you been given a Nigerian name?
No, not yet.
Let's see.
My Ghanaian name is Ajwa, but I don't have a Nigerian name yet.
What Ghanaian name? Okay, because you have Ghanaian ancestry as
Correct.
well that you are aware of, right?
Yep.
But you are aware of any of your direct Nigerian relatives?
No, not yet. Other than who was on, 23andMe.
Okay,
Yeah.
so were you able to find some people who are related to you?
Oh, yeah. They'll tell you exactly different people who are related to you in all parts of the world. But I've never actually reached out to anybody, in Nigeria or Ghana.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
My
right.
cousin did. She actually made a trip to Nigeria. I'm not sure which company she went through, but she actually went to Nigeria to meet relatives.
That's
Yeah.
fascinating. I haven't even looked at the details of it. I just saw it when I was on my way here.
It's amazing.
So we'll see. I'll see if I have any relatives I already do not know. And I actually took it because I was curious. My mom is fair-skinned and she has this curly hair, and I'd been suspecting that there's something in your blood that doesn't seem quite 100% Nigerian.
Yeah.
But well, the DNA says it's 101%.
Huh. So, but you would have seen non-African DNA.
No, it's all
Really?
It's all West Africa.
Huh. Interesting.
100% West Africa.
Okay.
So I'm like, I don't know. So maybe
No. Not
something
even Middle Eastern, nothing?
nothing.
Wow, okay. 'Cause
Nothing.
most people in Jamaica and the US, no matter how your
Dark
skin
skinned
look,
or you're
you're always going to have a little bit of
something European.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm a pure breed.
Okay.
That much
I
we
mean,
know.
I'm jealous.
And so you thought this guy was from Sudan. Let's not get distracted from the love story. You're trying to take me
yeah.
somewhere else.
True. So, it was just a funny story. You couldn't tell me he wasn't from Sudan. And like I said, people from Sudan do not have a certain look, but that was just me.
That
in
was
my
what was
head.
in your head.
Yes. So, yeah.
And then how did you guys start talking?
So we had at American University, they have what you call immersions where you can go to either Washington, because our program was online.
Okay.
And it was you had to be on video. They were very strict about you showing your face during classes. But they would force you to come to the campus in DC, or you could go to different cities across the US or even different countries. Like they had trips to like San Francisco, New York, China, places in Africa, Canada, South America. But the trip that I decided to go to was the one for Canada, which was Toronto and Montreal. And Brandon was also on that trip as well.
So that's where the connection.
Yes.
That's where the connection started, and you guys hung out in Canada, and the rest is history.
We didn't really like hang out one-on-one, but he was around our group. I think I gave one of my friend credit for, getting us to talk more. Her name is Hans, and she's from New York, and she was one of my group members. And she was like, so, Brandon seems to be interested in you. And then they would kind of make fun of me, like when Brandon would come around and I would say hi and would talk a little bit. They were like, oh, Shaneta, who's this guy? So yeah, like Hans was like, oh, Brandon, when you go back, you guys should talk more or something like that. And, also shoot my shot. I would say I shot the first.
Oh, you shot your shot.
Yeah. If that's the way to say it. I was the first one who made the first move.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think Brandon was that shy.
He's reserved, but I don't think he's super shy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you shot your shots. You took your shot, and the rest is history.
Yes.
How long have you been married now?
So we've been married since November of 2021. But we didn't get married officially in front of friends and family until, October 16th, 2022.
So you've been married for about 2 years?
About 2 years through the court, and then like official wedding day, walking down the aisle for 1 year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So which day is your wedding anniversary? Which one would you, which one is your wedding anniversary? The 2021 one or the 2022?
2022. But we're planning to celebrate both.
Okay.
Because... why not?
And did you go back to Jamaica for your wedding?
Not quite. So my cousin was getting married in Jamaica, and it happened to be our anniversary weekend, so we went for that.
Oh, okay.
Because that weekend is actually a very popular anniversary weekend. Even at our wedding, there were like several couples there who were celebrating their anniversary same day. So, yeah.
Awesome. By the way, Brandon is a fantastic guy.
Oh,
and
thank you.
I'm just going to put a plug for him on the podcast. If you are anywhere in the DMV and you're looking to rent a house, buy a house, Brandon is your guy. The townhouse which I live in now, he was the one who arranged it. He was awesome. He was patient. He was kind. And that whole thing happened at the silent chair, actually. So I should say that story. So Shaneta comes to do her hair. Shaneta comes to do her hair at the salon. And I was using one of his websites, I don't remember which one even, to try to find a house. And I thought I had found this lovely house in Colesville and Silver Spring. I already had dreams of, parking the car. There was like a nice lawn at the back. I was like, we could have some plants. There could be some garden. I was already thinking about all these things. And then the landlady called me to kind of get more information to see if I could be her tenant. And then she's like, yeah, so I have a tenant in the basement. I have a tenant in the attic. And my heart sank.
No.
I was like, no, I don't want to move from an apartment to another apartment. And Shaneta happened to be doing her hair that day. And she's like, well, my husband is a realtor and you don't have to pay him. He can show you houses for free. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And I think we've become friends since then. So, Brandon, thank you very much. I wish you were here today.
Oh, thank you. I did try to, get him to tag along, but he was so busy at work. So next time.
Next time. He's bald. If not, would have locked his head too. Yes. How did you find me?
Oh, good question. So I was looking on Style Seats, and I was trying to, look for locticians who have really, really good ratings. And I looked at your profile and saw that every single rating, at least from what I remember, was a 5-star rating, and like really nice like testimonies from clients. So I was like, actually, I'm going to go with Ade. And then I also noticed that you did palm rolling, which you don't find a lot, a lot of like listed services that are provided by locticians don't have palm rolling. So because I wanted to continue palm rolling my hair, I chose you for that reason too.
Awesome. I'm happy you found me because it's been a great friendship. And did you do your hair yourself before?
No, I've never tried. I actually had a loctician. Her name was Shaquita, and she was from Lock and Curls. And she was actually in the same building that you used to be
Okay.
in. But she moved from that building to DC. So it was a little hectic to travel back and forth between,
Okay.
here in DC. So I switched to your salon.
And then now I moved to VA.
I'll be following you, don't worry. I don't mind driving to VA because I'm sure parking will be easy. I'm not a big fan of city parking.
3 hour free parking for the first 3 hours.
I'll
And
take it.
even a few clients that have stayed above, over 3 hours said it still didn't get charged. Parking is basically
Excellent.
free and everything is chilled.
Yeah,
On
like
the
free
other side
parking
of.
is a big deal when it comes on to going to get your hair done.
Okay. Now that we are both like in our late 30s
Mm-hmm.
and married and motherhood is like the next thing that is knocking at the door.
Uh-huh.
And we do know that you are expecting.
Yes.
What does it feel like to be expecting?
It feels good. It feels good. Earlier today, I was thinking to myself that, those rare stories where women are like, I had no idea I was pregnant. I've been feeling pregnant. Like, there's so many things that are going on. And I'm like, wow, how is that even possible? Obviously, it's possible because it happens to quite a few people. But I was just wondering, how do people get pregnant and not know for 9 months?
That
They
you're
must be lucky.
pregnant. Yeah. So how does
But
it
yeah.
how does it feel to have something growing inside you?
It feels really good. I feel blessed, very happy. I have my ups and downs because sometimes I do get tired and sleepy. And then I also experience like a little bit of like pain, or they call it growing pain. I'm not sure if that's the medical name for it. But, other than that, I feel really blessed and happy.
Well, I know where I'll be coming to for all the advice and who I'll be calling for like, "Oh, how did you feel? Is this normal?
Yeah.
Should I call a doctor?"
I'll be here. Definitely.
Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations. I'm
Thank
very,
you.
very happy for you.
Thank you.
Have you been reading any books on what to expect when you're expecting? I believe that's the popular name of a book. Yeah. So have you been reading? Are you prepping?
So I've been looking around for things that I need for the baby, but I haven't quite read anything yet. But I've been watching a lot of videos and looking at social media pages that are like dedicated to like helping new parents or pregnant moms. But I do need to read some more.
I'm sure AI is feeding you all the information already.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's really bad.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Every other post is about a pregnant person or
How they're,
yeah.
do you plan on having a gender reveal, a baby shower, and all the new age fanfare that comes with becoming a new mom?
So definitely not a gender reveal because I found out the gender like at maybe like 12 weeks, super early. So we're having a girl. But
Okay, congratulations.
yeah, thank you.
Interestingly,
Yeah.
we're having this conversation the other day, Yomi and I. When I do get pregnant, I actually do not want to know the gender until
Oh, that's so sweet.
it comes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And then we could buy just beige
Yeah.
and I don't know, gray.
I think that's okay. I mean,
Clothes.
people do that.
I don't know if it's possible to not. I think I would really like to wait to know to be surprised.
People do that though. As long as I've heard of people getting surprised with twins. So I don't know how far of a surprise you want.
No. If I'm having to, I'd like to know. I'd
Yeah.
like to know.
But yeah, I think that's cute too. I like that though. But I don't know. I think the reason why I wanted to know, there's a lot of girls in the family. So it really is, and it's advantageous to know whether I'm having a girl or boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. And for the baby
Yeah.
shower, let's plan it now. Who am I calling? What are their names? Who's the lady
I'll send them.
just send me a list of the people that I'm supposed to call.
Okay.
Let me know what you want.
Cool.
What month is it going to be
Oh, thank
around?
you.
So that we know exactly what we're going to be doing. You guys, I know.
Thank you, Ade.
We have to know. We have to plan this Nigerian
Sure.
style. Yourself and Brandon are Nigerians.
I do
and
claim
we go all
Nigeria
out.
and Ghana. Both of you.
We go all out. So we have to go all out. But you're majority Nigerian, we win. You know that there's an ongoing rift between Ghanaians and Nigerians.
Really?
We're always in competition.
Really?
Nigerians always win.
Well, you're like siblings though.
But we're the better sibling.
I think I'm going to step aside.
Apologies to all Ghanaians out there, but you
I'm
all
going to have
know.
to stand on the corner right here.
You all know that we are the better siblings. Oh, that's great. Um, Speaking a little bit about entrepreneurship, you always have these fantastic ideas. You do
Yeah,
you find the best deals
I try.
in different places. I know you have interest in jewelry.
Yeah.
And then when you were telling me some things the other day, my eyes were like, oh my God, she wants to sell diamonds. That's a
Yeah.
lot. How much is a diamond? Do I even want to carry that kind of merchandise? My head was ringing all over the place and all of
Yeah.
that. So you do have an entrepreneurial mind. Have you dabbled into anything entrepreneurial so far?
Not really. The only thing I've done so far when I was in college, I used to sell on eBay, but it wasn't really not to make a profit. It was just because I loved
That's
the
entrepreneurial.
operation side of it. Yeah. But I still have my mind on eventually creating a jewelry company
Why did you stop selling on eBay?
because I wasn't making money from it and it was just a passion.
Okay. What did you
Yeah.
learn? What's it like to sell on eBay?
I just used to sell clothes, like clothes, shoes,
So where'd you get
yeah,
the clothes from?
Macy's or just random clothing stores. Like people go in there and look for very, very specific items. So let's say you want to get a top from J. Crew, but it's sold out and they don't have your size. You just go to eBay, type in the name, not make, but you know how they give clothing like
Codes,
name,
yeah.
like, the Shaneta top or the Shaneta dress. Like just type that into eBay and you might find the outfit that you're looking for. So people would buy very specific things. So I would just sell a lot of stuff on there. Yeah. Shoes was a big thing. Yeah.
But you would carry them for you have to buy the merchandise, keep it, and hope that somebody buys it.
Yes. I used to sell what I had already. Sometimes it was used because people
Okay.
buy used items on there. Sometimes I just had it and it was just sitting and I would just put it on there and people would bid on it. So it was just fun.
I've actually never used eBay.
Yeah.
Funny enough. So is it a bidding system all the time on eBay?
No, you have buy now. There's an
Okay.
option called buy it now. Haven't been on there in years, so I'm not sure like how much it has changed. But
Yeah.
there's a bidding option and a buy it now option. I've gotten good things on there. Like there was this one time when my TV went out and I was able to buy the parts on there to like fix it. So they have some really good specific stuff that they sell if you need it. Yeah.
Does eBay sell services as well?
Not that I
No.
know of. Mostly products, but
Yeah, there was something that was
yeah.
coming to my head about no, that was Craigslist. Yeah, let's not go there. I think I watched a documentary, a
Oh
docu-film or a
gosh.
film on Craigslist about the Craigslist killer, about somebody
Yes.
who was selling massages or, yeah. Anyway, I try to stay away from all those things. Technology is beginning to scare me. I'm
Yeah.
beginning to feel like my mother. Like,
No, Craigslist has some pretty bad things on there. Yeah.
yeah, well, this is not an ad for Craigslist, so I'm sure there's some things you might be able to find there that might be okay, but well, be careful. The internet is the world. Okay, so with eBay, you say you want to start a jewelry company or jewelry line, a product
Yes.
line. Do you have any idea how? Let's brainstorm about how you're going to go about this. How do you think you're going to start? Where
Sure.
would you get this? Is it going to be stones? Is it going to be rings or just necklaces that are free stuff? Would it be costume? Would you start with costume or would you just? Have you ever sold jewelry?
Not yet. I've bought, samples to like try them out, see how they look. Like these earrings that I have are actually just samples. They're pearl earrings with 14 karat gold back. And then even the whatever this is called
The
is
pearl?
yeah, well not the pearl but the
The
butterfly back.
okay.
Yeah, so these are all just samples that I've purchased over the years just to try them out and see
if
the
if
quality.
it's real. And with the gold back is for those of us that usually have allergies to the metal,
Yeah,
right? So that
correct.
you don't react. I got
Yep.
some really cute earrings from Loft actually 2 days ago. I wore them
Yeah.
yesterday, and my ears hurt. So I was like,
Yeah. You might
can I
have an
return it?
allergy to it. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
think the metal isn't good. So why jewelry?
because it's small, like, if you're, for example, if you buy an earring, the package is going to be very small. So if you're like for me, at least from my thinking or my perspective, if I live at home and I'm trying to run a business out of my home, I can easily just package something that's very small and ship it and store it as well. And it doesn't take up too much space. So I was just looking at starting small. So that's why I did jewelry.
Okay,
Yeah, because it's
but,
not a
but,
lot of storage
but
space at all.
But it's a lot of
Yeah.
money though. So starting small, it's not small storage space, but I think it's like a huge capital investment.
It is, yeah.
And the risk of what if this sells or doesn't sell? How long would you hold your merchandise for? I'm just thinking through.
Those
And
are
I'm
good
a big
questions, yeah.
skeptic. I'm a big skeptic when it comes to entrepreneurship. And I should tell a little bit of a story. So, 21 year, I can't remember what year now. A few years ago, I did work with an online shopping company, like an
Okay.
e-commerce company called Konga in Nigeria. And I knew somebody who was moving away from the country, moving away from Nigeria, and had these bags that she had imported from China
Okay.
and was selling on the platform. I had the impression that the bags were doing so well on the platform. So I decided to buy the business
Okay.
from her, and I thought it was going to be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about bags. I just had the impression that the business was was
Yeah.
doing well, and I acquired the bags, and it became a nightmare. I couldn't sell the bags because I was not a great salesperson
Yeah.
for the bags. It
Yeah.
wasn't. I could sell locks to a white person,
Yeah.
but I couldn't sell bags because I usually I've been carrying that backpack for
Yeah. Is it one of the bags or no?
no,
Oh,
no,
okay.
no,
Yeah.
no. Those bags give me PTSD. If I saw any of them, I'm like, I don't want to have anything to do with these bags.
Yeah.
But I couldn't sell them. They didn't. I thought people would just order them and I'll just ship them. I thought that was all I had to do. But it would have required a bit more marketing and for me to understand.
Yeah.
The bags were also begin. I had them for a long time, so they started to naturally
Yeah.
wear and
Yeah.
tear. And that experience made me feel like, okay, I'm going to ask questions before I
Yeah.
invest in any business. I also have to make sure that I understand the product, have at least some desire and knowledge about the product before I
Yeah.
go into it. So with jewelry, how did your relationship with jewelry start?
Sure. So it started because it was just the thing that came to mind when I first started to, think about being an entrepreneur. Like, it's a small item. It takes a very small amount of storage space for somebody who's not looking to open like a storefront. And then it just gives you an avenue to be very creative. So if you're starting a jewelry line, you have the option to actually design your own jewelry box with like your name on it. Not my actual name, but just whatever brand name you want to use. You could design like bags that you could put the jewelry in. So for example, if it's an e-commerce platform, if let's say your husband comes in and like buys a piece of jewelry for you online, I wouldn't just send him just the piece of jewelry, but it would be in a nice, pretty gift box and a bag as well. So it would look like he went to like a store and bought it for you. So it would be
Yeah.
like a luxury item that you can get online. And I started a relationship with a jewelry company, a jewelry wholesaler. I've had a relationship with them for years now. I haven't quite used it much, but I've had it for years. And, they sell every type of jewelry. If you want lab diamond, you can get it there. If you want real diamonds, you can get it there. They have a lot of gold, silver, a lot of other precious, stones. So whatever you want in terms of jewelry, like they definitely
get it
have it, and they're reliable as well. And you don't need to hold on to merchandise. So, for example, if you order something from me, obviously you wouldn't expect me to ship it the very next day. So, how the process works is you'd place an order, then I would place an order with the wholesaler. And as long as you place the order before 2 p.m., they'll ship it to you the next day using
And they
next day
ship
delivery
directly from
from the jeweler
the jeweler.
to your
And
home,
the
but
jeweler
not to
will
the
also
client.
okay to your home, and then you customize the packaging and then
Exactly.
ship. So that's the work
Because
that you
that's
do.
something I really want to do. I want to make sure, like, it looks good, it's in good condition, it's packaged well on the box. So I wouldn't want to give that to them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think it's an interesting concept, and it's definitely doable as far as you understand what you're getting.
Yeah.
And how have you thought about? I know you haven't started yet, and you've been thinking about it. How do you intend to market this
Definitely social
business?
media marketing. So not just, Instagram or Facebook, but Google ads and also marketing on every platform. So you have Bing, you have Google, then you have Instagram, Facebook, any possible outlet that you can find to market on. You should, that's what I plan to do.
Okay,
Yeah.
so is this a 2024 projects? I know we have another project cooking in the tummy, but
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I already got my boxes made. I just need to put the information online. I haven't quite gotten to that part yet. But I did design my own like jewelry boxes.
do you have a website?
Yes, but it's more of like a website that the company gives to you. So I want to create my own website where I
Right.
can like put that page on the website.
So
Cause
if I wanted to order
yeah,
jewelry like now, would I be able to go on there and actually order something? Have you
you
sold
can.
anything
No,
from
I
that
haven't
website?
tried to sell anything. This is from there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Brendan.
Okay. All right. All
Yeah,
right. All right. I'll ask you about how much it
yeah.
cost afterwards. Did you pick it? Did you do the
So
oh
I picked it, but he did the whole process.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Makes a lot of
it's very
sense.
legit. Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. Oh, that's interesting. So yesterday was Halloween technically. Did you guys get up to anything for Halloween?
Not really. We don't really celebrate it. We don't. We're not against Halloween, but we don't really celebrate it much. So we just stayed home and chilled.
And I do
Yeah.
know Brandon is 7-day Adventist.
Yes. Yeah.
Are you 7-day Adventist as
A
well?
Methodist from Jamaica. So Jamaican Methodist.
The way you
Yeah.
say it, you're like, that's different from Methodist here.
Well, not really. So I grew up Methodist in Jamaica. So I'm from a very, very big family. And we have all sorts of different like Christian denominations in the family. So my mom, I'm not even the same denomination as my mom. My grandma was Methodist. My grandpa, not quite. My mom is evangelical
Okay.
Christian. Then I have a lot of family members who are like Pentecostals. So we're just all over the place in terms of denomination. So by saying from Jamaica, it's just that I grew up Methodist from when I was a kid.
Okay. All right. Get
Yeah.
you. And so being married to somebody who is in the same religion as you
Yeah.
are, but quite different because I know that the 7-day Adventists they worship on
Saturdays.
Saturday. They
Yeah.
don't eat
No pork or shrimp
pork,
or
shrimp,
shellfish. Yeah.
but they do chicken and beef.
Some of them. There's some who are complete vegans, some are complete vegetarians, some are pescatarians. So it varies.
Okay, depends
Yeah.
on what you want to do. You pick and choose.
It seems so because some people just are actually 7-day Adventists who happen to be vegan.
So have you considered converting into becoming a 7-day Adventist?
I'll still stay Methodist because the way I grew up, there's just so many people in my family from different denominations. So it's almost like, my view on it is like, what's the point of like getting dragged here and there in terms of people? Because I have Jehovah's Witness family members who, if they could tomorrow, they would convert me. You know what I mean? So I just will stick to Methodist.
What
Yeah.
you do. And when baby comes and baby gets older, have you guys had that discussion of what you would like her to be?
Probably, I feel like Brendan would want her to be 7-day Adventist,
Yeah.
but I just care that she's a really good Christian who treats people well and is a really good person.
I think that's one
Yeah.
of the most important things. Are you apprehensive about raising a kid in America?
Not really. I think, I feel like raising kids anywhere is really a challenge. I feel like, the most we can do is try to be very present parents and intentional or well-intentioned parents, and hopefully, that's good enough. But I feel like anywhere that you're raising kids would be challenging. I'm not a mom, so I can't really, I don't have that perspective.
Yeah,
But
almost,
yeah,
almost there, almost there.
I would say it's expensive to raise them in America, but
Yeah, you should
Yeah.
have a diaper party though,
I remember you telling me that. So
Huh.
yeah,
because I did meet someone who had told me that they had a diaper party and it was like a year into the child's life and they hadn't had to buy one diaper.
that's
And I was like,
amazing.
that's the party you should have, not a gender reveal.
Yeah, we definitely opted to not have a gender reveal party. It would just be too much logistics, and I don't know. No offense to anybody who have them, but I'm okay with not having one.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm probably tired and I need some more tea because I was going to be like, yeah, I don't know about this gender reveal because like growing up, these things didn't exist.
Yeah.
And I feel it's become social media pressure and the pressure to even do like the pregnancy photo shoots,
Yes.
the whole 9 yards of, all of that. I think being happy and being true to yourself is more important
Yeah.
than any show for anything. And if a gender reveal is something that, I can imagine some people go through a lot
Yeah.
to be able to even get to that point. And if you want to celebrate every point
Yeah.
of the process and the journey, who am I to judge?
True.
Who am I to judge? Or personally, for myself, like I'm saying, I don't even want to know the gender of the kid until I have it. So
Yeah.
when the baby pops out, it's like, hey, reveal.
I was thinking too, even like, if somebody hasn't really had a family get together for a very, very long time, I feel like a gender reveal party would be like a really good opportunity to kind of get everybody together. But I feel like Brendan and I have been going to so many different events in the past like year or so. I feel like we'd be okay without trying to drag everybody to a gender reveal, Maybe a baby shower, but a gender reveal, not at this
A
time.
baby shower is gonna
Yeah.
be awesome. I need to come, and I
Oh,
know
thank
we
you.
need to be there. You need to
Thank
tell
you.
me, and
I'll definitely put you on the list for sure. Yeah.
well,
Or
how do baby showers work? You're not supposed to do any organizing. We organize a baby shower for you.
true, but I mean, I'll help with whatever, whatever I can do to help.
You're
I'll
so
help
kind
too.
and you're so chilled. You have no stress at all.
Thank you.
There's one issue I want us to speak about.
Yeah.
Being migrants in the country, integrating very young. I know race is always a very big topic in America.
Yeah.
And for the past almost 13 years, you've also worked corporate. How has your gender and your race affected your life here?
Yeah. It's been pretty bad. I mean, a lot of times just look at it as this, right? Like, say if a white person's like listening to this podcast and let's say they're a manager, when a black person comes and does an interview with you in your office to get a job, there are a lot of things that they're telling you, and there's also a lot of things that they're not telling you. Nobody's going to come to you and tell you, hey, I had a really bad, racist experience at my previous company. Most times people just kind of bury those feelings and just try to move on. But racism is a very real, nasty thing in the workplace in America. It's pretty bad. And, I mean, the more experience you have in, the corporate field is the more,
You navigated?
yeah, you deal with it better, but it hasn't really gone away. I feel like there's a lot of like gatekeepers in corporate America who are there to kind of keep certain people from reaching certain,
Attaining.
milestones in their career.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why it's really good to have like, different opportunities outside of work sometimes so that you're not limited ever. Yeah.
Have you had any particularly bad experiences personally?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would say from when I was a kid, even in Jamaica, Flint River, like rural Jamaica. I remember when I was a kid, I think I was maybe second grade. There were like some white missionaries who came from Indiana and they came to Flint River and they would like get bused from like the tourist area into our community to do vocational Bible school. One of the things that they would teach us is they would teach us like colors. So like they were like younger kids than myself, so that's why I would be learning colors, So they would hold up like different like sheets of paper, and I remember one of them being white, and they'd be like, "This means glory," and then for the black one, they would say sin. So I'm thinking of like, you're from America. It's the 90s I think it was in the 90s actually. Why would you leave a country that's dealing with like crazy racial tension and
Disparity
problems?
and all of that.
And you're from the South, Indiana. Why would you come to a black country and teach kids that black is sin? So, that was like my first racist experience that I wasn't even aware of. It was when I was like in the third grade or second grade, I was repeating what I learned, and this army and military neighbor corrected me. So that was my first racist experience. Yeah.
It's interesting that I don't even know what words to use. Should I say colonialism, racism, missionary,
Yeah.
all of that? The missionary part, it feels like some of it is intended for good, but lots of it has been used to control and, destroy us as black people. And coming from a majority black country, which Jamaica is as well, sometimes it can be hard for me to understand. I don't think understand is the right word, but it can be hard for me to even know when somebody is being racially abusive in a situation, because people are people and
Yeah.
there are stupid people everywhere. So sometimes you don't need to be of certain race to behave inappropriately.
Sure.
And so when people of a certain color act inappropriately, the first thing that comes to mind for me is that you're just being inappropriate.
Yeah.
Not because of, you're not doing what you're doing because of
Yeah.
what I am. But the more time I spend in America, the more I begin to see
Oh yeah,
that
it's
some
here.
things are very
Yeah.
difficult. I know people who have been, there's a funny story I heard recently from one of my friends who's been at this job for 4 years, going on 5 years, has a master's degree, Black Nigerian,
Yeah.
and he hasn't been promoted at work. And there's another lady who has been at the job for half the time. She's a dance major, so she went to school for ballet. So they're doing the same work. And I'm not saying she's inadequate in her job, but she had been promoted about 3 times.
That's very common.
So
Very, very
I'm
common.
like,
Yeah.
my friend, are you sure you're doing what you're supposed to do? Maybe this
Yeah.
girl is doing a little bit more.
No.
But there's no justification aside from the fact that it might just be race. And those things are very difficult for me to justify. And it's kind of scary now that I do live here
Yeah.
to say, how do you really navigate these issues? Is it going to get better from here?
Well, I mean, yes, the people who are like gatekeepers who can prevent you from getting promoted or, get a raise. Yes, they have power, but you also have more power. And my way of dealing with it has always been to just leave. Like, I'm not saying you're running from your problems, but if you're at a company and you're there for like 3 years or 4 years and you feel like you deserve a promotion and you want a promotion and they're not promoting you, just look for a job that's like 1 or 2 levels up and just move, get more money. But sometimes people do work for companies where everything is just perfect, and yes, they want the promotion and they're not getting it, but they really want to continue working there. Maybe it's closer to home, maybe the money's good, maybe they like the work that they do. So some people stay for various reasons. It's pretty complicated, but my way of dealing with it has always been to just leave and give myself the promotion, which is, get a better job. Yeah.
Yeah, the issues of race are very complex because on one hand, you think about, why shouldn't I fight it? Why
Yeah.
shouldn't I, stay and ask for what I have worked for and fully well deserved? And everybody knows that I deserve this. And nobody wants to be the mad black woman in the room as well,
Yeah.
who is screaming, because you kind of taint yourself in a bad way when you start to fight the system. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's difficult.
I think things have changed a little bit, right? So I do believe now that people are more aware of what's going on, and they're also more aware of like the options that they have. And I would say that if someone feels like they're being discriminated against, they definitely should formally report it. Just put it on paper, because chances are you might not be the only person who has been discriminated against. And if a certain boss has 3 complaints, HR might want to start looking into it, because nobody wants to get sued. No company wants to get sued. So I've had friends work at companies where they got let go, and what HR told them was like, next time you notice things or sense things, you have to report it right away, because that's the only time we can actually do something about it. Yeah.
But I can understand why somebody doesn't report something, because
Yeah.
you also don't want to be alienated, especially if there's a chance you might be staying at that company and you'll be the one who
Sure.
snitched. Let me put it that way.
But things have changed a lot, though. Like, I don't encourage, obviously, sometimes, when you're dealing with conflict at work, you kind of, especially if you're new, you want to kind of learn the terrain, learn the different people who are around you, and kind of figure out how the company dynamics are before you start to like yell or complain or do anything crazy. But at the same time, I mean, the way I see it is, if I go to work and somebody's causing crazy distress, I'm going to take that distress home.
Yeah.
So I would encourage anybody to leave that distress at work. So leaving it at work could mean you have a conversation with the person who's causing problems, or you report them and let them deal with the distress so you can go home peacefully. Because, nobody deserves to like create I mean, nobody's entitled to create distress in other people's life just for fun. And then you're miserable at home and they're home, smiling and giggling after they have caused, havoc in your life. So just report it. Like, I'm 100% for reporting problems they experience at work, especially if it's racist or sexist.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I think that's the only way, because not reporting, saying nothing sometimes enforces and empowers the person who is at wrong.
If they want to retaliate, you have other options, but at least report it. Don't just not do anything at all.
Well, but do you ever feel like, as a Black person, do you ever feel sometimes that we throw the race card to every single thing that happens? Like,
Yeah.
you don't do your part, and then 5 seconds later you're like, oh, is it because I'm Black?
Yeah. Not really. I mean, I've worked in the system. Well, I've gone through the school system. The work system, where I know, like, when people scream racism, it's a very real, true, nasty thing that, Black people or non-white people actually deal with. And I would say to, like, for somebody like me, when I was younger, like, and just starting out my career, I wasn't always somebody who spoke up. Like, there's a lot of crap that I, dealt with without saying anything at all. And looking back in hindsight, I wish I had actually spoke up more, so going forward, even if it means somebody fires me because I speak up against something, so be it. But some of the things that I dealt with when I was younger, I'm not going to take the same thing at my age. Just no.
Yeah. Well, with age definitely comes more boldness, and with a baby on the way, you're going to have to be protected a lot more than yourself.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like where it is. So I have one final question for you before we kind of wrap this up. And it's about your accents.
Yeah.
So you have a Jamaican accent. It's
well,
not it's not the strongest Jamaican accent.
No,
At least you're
it's
not
strong.
speaking patois. But every time you say thing and you say tin, I'm like, oh.
No, my accent is strong. I speak Jamaican, like, completely if I'm talking to my mom or a family member. Yeah.
And so growing up in America, did people ever make fun of you for your accent, or did you find people be attracted to you because of your accents?
I mean, accents is tricky in America, right? Because if you meet a racist person, it doesn't matter how your accent is. They're always going to find something ignorant to say. I remember one white guy in high school said to me, I was talking to him. He could have easily said, I didn't hear you. Can you please repeat it? But he was like, when you start speaking English, then you can come talk to me.
Ooh.
Funny enough, this guy's married to a Black woman. So hopefully she's okay. But I just thought he was just extremely racist, rude, horrible, and vile, because I was speaking English. If you don't understand what I'm saying, just ask me to repeat it. So yes, for the most part, people have liked my accent, but at the same time, I've observed people making fun of other people's accent too. So I'm really not for the whole making fun of accents or anything like that. Yeah.
Well, I'm too old in my life to start to try to learn how to speak like an American.
Yeah.
So my Nigerian accent is here to stay.
And that is okay.
Shaneta, this was awesome. I'm looking forward to, continuing to be friends with you and Brandon for a very, very, very long time. I'm looking forward to the baby as well. I'm looking forward to all the nice things that are happening. It's cold outside, and I really want to say thank you so much for coming. I know you're not necessarily in the most comfortable situation in this period, but thank you so much for being on the podcast. It was a pleasure having you, and I hope someone out there enjoys the conversation as well. So thank you all for listening. It has been the Locitude podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Locitude, LOCITUDE. Don't forget to keep it locked with an attitude and make some babies.